Welcome to The Living Force, everyone. I am one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me on this slightly too hot Monday evening, at least in Chicago, is one of the doctors, Dr. Corey Helton. Hello, sir.
What is happening? Pleasure to be here, man. Best part of my week.
Happy. Aw, it's just us. I'm kidding. We also have Wes Jenkins, the man behind the keys. What's up, dude?
What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Good to see you. And we have officially finally fired Dr. Charles Hankel for insubordination, embezzlement, and all other kind of fake things. But we have replaced him with Alex Damon. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up? I will tell you it is way more than slightly too hot in Atlanta.
Yes.
You know what? I'll believe you. We hit like the 90s last week, and I was like, this is it for me. I can't go on anymore.
That's every day here, and we have a puppy, and he has to be walked, and it's relentless.
I feel that.
Every time I look at my dog, who just got shaved today, he might make an appearance on the show. We'll see. I'm just like, you could figure out a pee pad, right? Like, I need a balcony with those fake grasses that he can just kind of stroll out. I think that would fix everything. But everyone else who is hopefully sitting in either the cold or the air conditioning, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. You have just found one of the most inclusive and positive fan communities in the history of the galaxy. If you're new to reading Star Wars, you got to check us out on utini.com for reviews, reading guides, and everything you need to dive into and explore the Star Wars Expanded Universe. We have a vibrant online community, which you can join by heading over to utini.com/Discord. Speaking of which, hi to everyone in the Discord right now. Thanks for joining. And we have a Patreon jam-packed with hours of extra content at patreon.com/Utini. We host this live show on Twitch every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and the audio podcast version is released on Thursdays for patrons and Fridays on iTunes, Stitcher, etc. Thanks for joining us. Now let us dive in. Whew. Okay, it's like my fourth time doing that new intro. I'm feeling it a little bit. It's like a sweater. You gotta like wash it a couple times. It's still slightly itchy. But
Great analogy.
Seamless transition.
I like that.
Isn't it? Guys, it was a long day today already, I'll tell you what. But I want to start off, obviously, by welcoming Alex. Alex, if any of you all have lived under a rock in the Star Wars world for a while, is the host of Star Wars Explained, a phenomenal YouTube channel, amongst other things. Alex, why don't you tell our viewers/listeners kind of what is your place in the Star Wars fan community? What's your deal, man?
My deal is I started a channel because I really like Star Wars trivia, and it was specifically a contest at Dragon Con in Atlanta, which covered everything, not just the movies, but the books and the comics. And so I was basically just trying to keep up with it all. And it transitioned into, besides just me learning, doing reviews and I don't know. People seem to like my version of studying, which was to put out videos on these topics because I knew it was something that I would like to watch, and I was like, I'll just make videos, and it turned out to be a really great way to study and really get that material in there. So yeah, I don't really consider myself anything greater than that. Just like a guy who likes Star Wars and likes to talk about it, and that's what my wife Molly and I do.
Well, and it's awesome. I mean, yeah, I did first find you guys hilariously in that same vein of just wanting to know more about random little things, and a lot of your videos about like individual characters or like what's this ship of this book, or every time after I think after the Dragon Con trivias where you'll put out a video on a trivia question you miss on the most random things are always some of my favorite things to do. And obviously as fans of all crazy things unique and random in the Star Wars Expanded Universe, we love that kind of stuff as well.
Right. Well, I was going to say, you probably basically have a doctorate in Star Wars, Alex. Like I was thinking this week, because we were talking about bringing you on the show and stuff, and I was thinking like how much does Alex actually know about Star Wars? It's got to be like an astronomical amount. And I was thinking about medical school because you study like so much. I probably read 20,000 pages in medical school. And I was like, I bet he's read at least that much Star Wars. So, I don't know how we get one of those colleges to give you like one of those honorary doctorates, but we should figure out how to do that and just arrange it.
Just start calling me Dr. Damon. That'll be good enough for now.
Oh, that's got to be the next Schmodown name, right? That's got to be I think that's your next nickname. That's perfect. But we are thrilled to have you on the show. And we're just gonna do what we always do. We're gonna chat about all things going on in Star Wars right now. Later on, we're gonna talk about Shadowfall. I know one of our most favorite recent books. In addition to some stuff about Star Wars Squadrons, which you have talked about extensively in your channel lately. But before that, this was not in the outline 12 hours ago, yet here we are. This morning, we got some massive news, everyone. If you have been following along with Star Wars Discourse, you know that the Bad Batch arc of the Clone Wars was heralded by fans everywhere. Absolutely loved the characters, loved the animation style, and we're like, kind of weird we're seeing those guys. I bet they'll never show up again. And how wrong we were, my friends. This morning, it was confirmed by StarWars.com, so you know it's real. Finally, that the Bad Batch is getting their own series. Guys, what?
Yeah, that's
this is awesome.
Out of nowhere, I feel like. Like, I didn't expect that at all. Like, I thought they were done with that animation style. They were done with the Clone Wars period. Like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, and I am surprised by it. And there's really so many kind of possibilities that can expand from this. Now, Alex, you did a live stream on this earlier today with you and Molly. You talked about a lot of things. After you've kind of now talked about it for a good amount of time yourself in front of an audience, what are your thoughts now that you've kind of figured out what are some possibilities? What are you most excited for about this show?
Yeah, my thoughts are pretty much the same. Like, I agree that some people are like, the Bad Batch, really? And I'm kind of with that. But whenever you hear things where it's like, especially a while back, there were rumors of like, we're doing a Boba Fett movie and a Jabba movie, and you kind of hear those and you're like, that why would you do a movie about Jabba? But then when you actually think about like what it could be about for real, it's like, oh well, a crime story in Star Wars with all the syndicates would be pretty cool. So like, I am very excited for the actual synopsis that was provided, where it says this is about clones who used to have a purpose and now it's gone. So what do? And not only that, but their purpose was pretty terrible. So some of them are going to be grappling with what they did to the Jedi and like how it was not even under their control. So all of that kind of like mental stuff. I really want to see clones in this. That's what I want to explore.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For
I've
sure.
said 1,000 times that all the sort of nitty gritty clone army stuff from the Clone Wars is by far my favorite stuff. Like, yeah, we had Ahsoka, a credible character. We had a lot of the Jedi were awesome in the Clone Wars, but all the like the rookie stuff, everything about like the clones themselves was awesome. And you know, Alex, you know as well as I do that entire sort of what happens to the clones after Order 66 is pretty much untouched. I mean, even in Legends, like they did not go into that very much. We had the Republic Commando series, but it was very different than I think anything else that's ever been created. So, you know, they went into service with the Imperial Army and Navy, I suppose, but I don't know. We don't have a lot of content. So that's exciting to kind of see what the canon version of that's going to be. Like, how are they going to address this sort of philosophical questions about the clones that they really started to address in the late seasons of the Clone Wars, which is super exciting. I can't wait for that.
Yeah. And you both make really good points that like the clones are a great look into Star Wars as well. Like you're saying, Alex, this opens up a lot of things like maybe the syndicates and stuff, because we know they're going to be mercenaries, right? So are we going to see, like you said in your stream, they made a Dryden Voss model for a reason, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't just for 3 seconds in a hologram. So is it possible, knock on everything possible, that we're going to get the Bad Batch going into Crimson Dawn, that we're going to be able to watch the galaxy evolve through the eyes of clone troopers, which seems astoundingly unique.
Yeah. So. That's the Dryden Voss thing was something that, and to be fair, they also did a shot of General Grievous. Like they updated his model for the Clone Wars season 7, and he was in one shot for like a second, and that was it. So I don't want to say that like Dryden Voss having a model in that final arc means anything for sure, but it does kind of, they're mercenaries, and like that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And of course, let's all not forget the most important thing of all of this, Funko Pops. Let's go. I mean, come on. We're going to get a new series. We haven't gotten any Clone Wars Season 7 Funko Pops. I'm still healing. Thank you for all your thoughts and wishes on that. But I hope that with the Bad Batch show, the merch alone is going to be a blast. Give me that Echo with the screwdriver hand. Give me tech. I would freaking love it. Give me the Walgreens exclusive Bad Batch 4-pack with Christmas colors. I don't care. Whatever.
The Walgreens exclusive.
They get weird, man. They get weird. But one thing I also wanted to highlight was that the head writer of the show is Jennifer Corbett, who wrote a lot on Star Wars Resistance. And also just wanted to say that's awesome. We actually have a woman head writing a show for Star Wars, which is something that will hopefully not be a big deal soon. But that's freaking awesome. The team behind this is very diverse. It's a lot of different people on it. And I'm very excited for more voices to be heard in Star Wars. So we'll be looking for more of that. And come on, we make it comics, we make it books. Who's to say? But 2021, keep your eyes out for some Bad Batch. A couple updates for y'all. Over on utini.com, we just put up a brand new collection today if you're looking for a reading guide for E.K. Johnston, who is a lovely, fantastic Star Wars author with a lot of stuff. She now has her very own collection on the site if you want to look over there. For our patrons, a couple updates. We released a new episode of Lightspeed Skipping where we picked a random page from a random book and riffed on it. This particular page was about 2 paragraphs long, so it was a really weird episode. We had a good time with that. Legends Look Back recently released an episode all about the Death Star. Coming up, they have an X-Wing show coming up. And at the end of the month, I will be joining Charlie. We're going to be talking about The Paradise Snare, A.C. Crispin novel at the end of the month. So look for that, as well as the Ghost Crew, our Rebel show, dropping every Wednesday. All right, y'all, let's talk about book releases because, oh my God, the next few weeks.
we were talking about our calendar earlier, like just like what we need to talk about and how we're going to fit all this crazy stuff in and author interviews and everything into our lives, which we have to continue living, unfortunately. And Eric basically had a panic attack.
It was not that. It was looking at the thing and being like, okay, so the Afro audio drama comes out next week, right? Oh, okay, yeah, but then Dark Legends is the week after that, and then then Poe Dameron Freefall is the week after that, and then and then we have the Clone Wars stories of Light and Dark at the end of August. Right, and then Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising is the week after that. So, Alex, as someone who puts out a day of videos for all of these, how are you feeling?
Let's see. I have read Dark Legends and Freefall so far.
Yes.
Yep.
I've had the Clone Wars on my Kindle for a while, and I still haven't read it.
Know, right?
It just like that was the one I got it earliest, and it was so far out, and I was like in the middle of reading other stuff like Shadowfall, and so I've been slacking on that. But I have to. The audio drama is going to be the hardest one because that's I don't have that yet.
Yeah, it's crazy with those audio dramas because I feel like with the books, for some reason, it's easier for me to sit down and just read like a couple hours, just kind of blow through it. But with an audio drama, I feel like I got to be walking the dog or doing something because I can't just like sit in a chair with headphones on. I feel kind of like I should be doing something. But we did get an excerpt for that. Folks, if you haven't heard that yet, over on the main page at Utini, we have an article about that. StarWars.com released a 7-minute chunk of the Afro audio drama. So we're super excited about that. And as Alex said, Dark Legends, Freefall, coming out very soon. Pre-order links for all this stuff is up. But I wanted to talk to you three fine gentlemen about Thrawn Ascendancy for a second, because we did get our first excerpt from that this week. Did you guys get a chance to check that out?
I read it right before this.
Yes. And
Nice.
I had also planned to read it right before this. But then I forgot how to route Spotify into our video. So, here we are.
All right. Well, gold star for Alex. Another demerit for Corey.
I'm going to be fired
Add it
next
to your
week.
wall.
You can't fire me, though, because I run this whole operation. So.
It really is a Palpatine concept. I agree. But Alex, what do you think about the first excerpt we got for Ascendancy?
I liked it because it was, for the most part, very new, very different. It's outside of like just the box that I feel like a lot of the Star Wars canon content has fallen in lately.
Has Poe Dameron
yeah.
free fallen into? Yep.
I'm glad that we're exploring the Chiss ascendancy and just doing anything new. Like that was my big issue with like the Bad Batch announcement today. It's like I'm excited for it, but it's also like stuff like the High Republic gets me more pumped. Something that I don't know anything about, and the Chiss ascendancy falls into that for the most part. Like we had Outbound Flight and some Legends stories, but this is our first time looking at it in this new era.
Yeah, for sure. And it was really cool to see. They also released the Barnes & Noble poster image that you'll get if you get the Barnes & Noble edition of the book that had like the Game of Thrones sigils of the ascendancy. I'm a sucker for minimalist design. So that made me very happy. I can't wait to like mix and match. But I agree. I think that the recent Thrawn trilogy too was interesting, but it was a little of the familiar Thrawn, like you were saying. Like it was kind of what we got in Legends Thrawn a bit, just with the Empire military and a lot of that stuff. So going to a brand new part of space, a whole new political structure, all these new names, all the apostrophes. I'm just so excited to get something new and something vibrant with that. So if you haven't checked out that excerpt, again, we got a write up on UTD. Meg Dowell is killing it with all those news drops that she has so foolishly agreed to write every time there is one. So definitely go check that out. Real quick in the chat, I want to address something. Corey, I'm going to put you on the spot. Paul Matthews said, any chance we'll get a round table on Dr. Aphra? What do you think?
We certainly need to do a round table on Dr. Aphra. When are we going to possibly do that, Eric? I have no idea. I have no idea. This one was announced like such sort of last minute. Like, I cannot believe they kept this whole project under wraps with as many people that are working on it. Like,
yeah.
But we have to do it. I mean, Dooku Jedi Lost was maybe my favorite thing that came out last year. So I don't know how we don't do one. So we'll see. Eventually, we'll find a place.
It'll be coming. Yeah, our Airtable schedule is unenviable.
We can quit our jobs and just do like Alex does and make incredible Star Wars content all day.
Sounds perfect.
The dream come true for all Star Wars fans, I must add, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. And Corey, I will say that is you legally admitting to be my guardian and sponsor financially. All right. So, but yes, Paul and everyone, we are going to be bringing you roundtables on all these that we can. Some of them may be shorter, like Dark Legends. We'll probably get like an episode discussion because it's pretty short. It's more of a younger reader versus Shadowfall, which is going to get a full 2-part roundtable starting next week. But stay tuned. We will keep you posted. But out of all those, fellas, I want to give you a quick lightning round question. Out of Dr. Aphra, Dark Legends, Freefall, Stories of Light and Dark, and Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising, which has you the most excited? Now, Alex, I know you've read Dark Legends and Freefall, as I have as well. But out of these, which makes you most excited in a non-spoilery way?
Still Thrawn Ascendancy. I mean, if I had known nothing else about any of them, Thrawn Ascendancy is, for the same reason I stated earlier, just something different. It's not part of the Skywalker saga. It's outside. I do love Dr. Aphra as a character, and I consider her kind of in that same vein too, because she's in the era, in the galaxy, but she's usually doing her own thing. But I'm a better reader than I am a listener. So
sure.
I'm excited for the book.
And I'm wondering if they're going to, because this is an audio drama based on a comic. I do wonder if day one, we're going to have people saying, can I get the script book for the audio drama based on the comic?
Well,
and maybe
they're certainly going to be asking for that, but they've already said, I think they already tweeted last week that there is going to be a script book. Like,
awesome.
Or maybe it wasn't totally official. I thought it was from Del Rey though. I saw a tweet. It was a tweet. There was a tweet, Eric.
Yeah, there was a tweet. Someone tweeted somewhere that there was going to be a thing, which in Star Wars means it's confirmed. and I'm already angry and excited. But that'd be great. Because I know when Dooku Jedi Lost came out, they made a great point that a lot of people who were deaf weren't able to access the story. So when they released a script book, they were able to basically join in with everybody else, which makes total sense and I hadn't even thought about. And Aphra, the fact that it is going to expand on the comic probably means that they still want to make sure that story is accessible to every Star Wars fan, which is great. Corey, what about you? Same question, my friend. Out of all these projects coming up that we're gonna have to schedule content for,
Sure.
what are you stoked about?
I will totally echo everything that Alex has already said about Thrawn Ascendancy. We said before on the show that it felt like Zahn's hands were a little tied, I guess, with the second 2 Thrawn books. Like the first Thrawn book is still, even after all this time, in my top 5 canon books. I absolutely loved that book. Like I'm a sucker for origin stories, and Thrawn's a great character.
Anytime there's an academy in a book, like a school setting in Star Wars, I'm in.
Yes,
I am
Harry
so
Potter,
in
Star
for,
Wars, just give me all that.
Give it to
I
Dooku Jedi
agree.
Lost Stars, Thrawn. I love it.
So if I have to guess, I'm guessing that Thrawn. I always do this. I do this all the time. I'm guessing that the author Thrawn is going to write, a great job with Zahn in the book. No.
Yeah, Timothy Thrawn.
Timothy Thrawn. I know. Yeah, seriously. I think that Zahn's hands will probably be a little less tied with this. I hope they give him more creative freedom with this trilogy. And my impression of what we've already seen seems to be that way, unless there is some kind of big picture plans involving Thrawn and Ezra and everything that happened at the end of Rebels, and they're gonna come out with that announcement about the same time they release the book. Then we'll see what happens. But I'm most excited for that for sure.
Yeah.
It's been moved now too, right? We talked about that previously on the show.
September 1st. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in July, I believe, and now it's in September.
Yeah, it got moved later to November or October, and then it got moved up to September. So it's still technically delayed from the original, but it's earlier than the second one, which is the most Del Rey thing ever.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
I do want to say the same. I'm also excited for the Blue Pages. Remember, everyone, that was our consolation prize. And those sweet hardcovers. I'm excited about that. But I also want to say, at the risk of spoiling anything I've read, I'm excited for the Afro audio drama purely because I think this is another test of the format for Star Wars. Because Dooku Jedi Lost was a big hit, everyone really liked it. This is another step in that area. So I think the second one proves it, right? The first one can be novelty and be fun. The second one is like, okay, our audio drama is actually going to be a thing. Like, are we going to hit Doctor Who levels where they pump out 20 audio dramas a year or whatever they do? So I'm excited for the experiment. I'm excited to see what happens. But we will find out with all of you again. Pre-order links over at the new releases page over on Utini. All there. We can't wait to talk about them with all of y'all. Couple more updates before we jump into our Starfighter talk. This Wednesday, possibly the biggest thing that has happened at Utini since... Should have written that one out. I don't know. It's pretty big. We have our YouTube channel is launching. Corey, I know we talked about it last week. Can you give a really quick, concise description of what people can expect on Wednesday?
Yes, absolutely. So where Alex is certainly sort of the king of lore in Star Wars, absolutely, Alex.
Star Lores. Yep.
Star Lores. Yeah. If we're going to trademark that in case you want to use that, Alex. Utini serves an interesting role as folks come to our site to try to learn how to get into this thing for the first time. And so we want our YouTube channel to be an extension of our already existing content. A lot of guides on how to get into Star Wars for the first time, a lot of canon stuff, a lot of legend stuff, how to get into comics if you've never read comics before. Really more of a teaching sort of angle than I think anyone else is really kind of out there trying to do right now. So yeah, it's going to launch on Wednesday. We have a couple of videos. We're launching with both a review of Shadowfall and a sort of difference between canon and legends, which is one of the most popular pieces on our site. So both of those are going to hit on Wednesday, and we're going to kind of go for probably a weekly release schedule after that. So really excited for that. We put a lot of work into it for the past 2 or 3 months to kind of get our sets and camera and everything all squared away. So we're excited to share that with you guys.
Yeah. And also, we've made sure the SEO is good, so every description of every video is just the words Alex Damon 1,800 times. So if you search, we'll be very happy to be over there. And finally, one other thing. Oh, by the way, that content also, like I said last week, not our faces. We have a brand new video team. They're tremendous. I was watching one of the final drafts today, and I was literally just beaming. And I got kind of emotional. I'm not going to lie, because I remember when I first called Corey in my studio apartment in my underwear about writing for a blog, and now we have a video team. So very exciting about that. Additionally, our merch is now live at utini.com/merch. Corey, did we have a reveal you told me about today in Slack you wanted to to tell the people about, or am I throwing you under the proverbial bus?
You are certainly throwing me under the proverbial bus, but that's okay. I can wing it. So we have a really exciting shirt that we are releasing today, kind of in honor of everybody's favorite editor on the team. Matt, if you're listening to this for the first time, we have a bit of a surprise for you. We are releasing a really cool shirt. It's going to be called The Conductor, kind of in honor of all the incredible work that Matt has done for us on the podcast for the last couple months. Wes, I think you can swap over to the screen share, and it should be. Oh yeah, okay, we can kind of see it there. So this is the shirt. Oh, there's the show notes. We don't want that. Oh no, it's all over the place. There it is. Yeah. So here's the shirt. Here's the shirt. It says no symphony is complete without his conductor, or without the conductor. Yeah, we're excited to share this. So, Matt, we already mailed one to you. It should be on the way soon. And if you guys are interested in this shirt, check it out. It'll be over at utini.com/merge.
Yeah, Matt has been with us since day one of the show, has been editing our audio when we were in echoey rooms with blue snowball mics, and every day since. So we love you, man. We appreciate you. And if you want to show your support for the editor of a podcast you listen to in public, then by all means, there you go. All right. Now, 25 minutes in, let's jump into the meat of this episode. What has been going on in Star Wars lately is Starfighters. I mean, everyone has been talking about games with Starfighters. We've been talking about books with Starfighters. We've been building Legos with Starfighters. Some of us on live streams at Star Wars Explained build that A-Wing. So I wanted to get your guys' kind of opinions, first of all, on Shadowfall. That is the book of the hour. I have it right here next to me. It has been blowing up our Discord. It's been blowing up Twitter. Alex, I'm going to start with you because you've put out multiple reviews of Shadowfall. I know you were super excited about Shadowfall as a fan of Freed's writing, and maybe the biggest X-Wing fan this side of, I don't know, other big X-Wing fans. What do you think of Shadowfall for some of our folks that either haven't watched your video in a while or haven't seen it yet?
I loved it. I was a huge fan of the first Alphabet Squadron book. I've always it was going to be hard for me to not like this story. I love pilot books. The old Legends X-Wing books are still like some of my favorite Star Wars books of all time. So this was going to be like, I don't know how they would have messed it up. And Alexander Freed wrote a really great first one. Shadowfall was a little more condensed, which I don't think I liked it as much as the first Alphabet Squadron, but I still loved it. It was just, I wish that, and this is kind of an issue with a lot of the canon books, I wish the scope were a little bit bigger. But that was really my only issue. I love the characters. I love the way he writes. And I really liked something I wasn't crazy about in the first book was the villain. The villain's a lot better in Shadowfall.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm going to agree with you on basically every point, which is funny. Every time I watch your reviews, I'm like, yeah, I think that's what I think as well. But with Shadowfall especially, I did like how the characters went a little darker, and the villain, I agree, was better because he actually got to write him a little more honestly and a little bit, without so much of a reveal, with obviously Soren Keys for those of our friends watching. But the intimate scope was interesting because I want to get your thoughts on this too, Corey, as far as intimate books versus grand scope books go, right? Because I've been listening to the first Aftermath book lately, just to kind of do a re-listen as I'm, doing busy work. And I forget what it's like sometimes to read those canon books that span multiple planets and multiple character storylines. And so Alex, you said you kind of missed that, and I do a bit. Corey, do you find that, is that getting in the way of any canon stuff you're reading lately? Do you miss it, or do you feel like there are certain things that are still scratching that itch?
Oh, well, I mean, you guys have heard me talk about like my what I'm always searching for in the expanded universe is something to expand on the universe, right? So anything that happens like that has nothing to do with films, nothing to do with main characters. Like I love little cameos from less important characters like Hera in the Alphabet series and stuff. Like that's fantastic. But I want to expand.
Elon Sleaze Bagano, any other small cameos, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly. So I love that kind of stuff, and Freed really shines with this sort of technical writing. Like like Alex, I'm not really surprised that you love this series as much as you do. A lot of your videos are really technical and nitty gritty and into that Star Wars. That's really the whole purpose of your channel, right? Is to explain this higher level, well, maybe deeper level of sort of lore than people, are accustomed to and they might miss. But I will say that like this series for me has been a prime example of like how digesting content in different mediums like can kind of change your perspective a lot, because like I'm super ADD and I have a lot of trouble reading really technical writing. Like I didn't learn to appreciate the Twilight Company book until much later. And like listening to the audiobook so far for Shadowfall has totally, like, it took me a long time to get to those first couple chapters reading Shadowfall, but listening to the audiobook is totally different. And if you have trouble getting into sort of that technical style of reading that I think Freed is becoming known for, I definitely recommend checking out the audiobook. And we've said that before, and I still echo that. Check out the audiobook. Funny enough, we interviewed Freed a couple weeks ago. I think we mentioned this last week, but we asked him about being sort of a technical writer, and we're like, how do you feel as, people are kind of starting to call you sort of like the technical writer, like you're really into the warships, really into the fighter combat. And he's like, oh, really? I didn't really think I was. And it's just like, the man's a genius. Like Freed is an absolute genius. And like the way he can handle combat in Starfighter stuff is really, really impressive.
That's funny. I got the chance to interview him last week. It should be out tomorrow. But we had a similar conversation where I was like, how does it feel to be like the military science fiction guy? And he was like, well, it's not something that he thought of himself doing. Exactly. It's just kind of, that's how his career path went. But yeah, great guy. Super fun to talk to.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's the secret of really good Star Wars writing, is like, I'm not writing the romance Star Wars book. I'm not writing the military Star Wars book. I'm writing the book with my characters, right. And I think that's what really shines through Alphabet Squadron. He made a good point. Like Corey, you were saying when we talked to him, that he doesn't really care that much about the gun, like the way a gun is handled in Twilight Company, or the way a ship is put together, but his characters do. So this soldier is gonna think in his inner monologue about his gun and if it's clean and if it's gonna jam. Alexander Freed isn't, and I'm like, whoa, like that was one of my like, oh my God, like you are your character. That was
such
that's
a
really cool
philosophical thought. Like that like the ability of a writer to sort of enter into the mind of the character they're creating is certainly a unique ability that I don't think everybody has. And that is probably something that really differentiates incredible writers from more amateur writers, right? And Freed is certainly able to capture that. And all of his characters are so unique, right? I mean, they all have very clear personalities and very clear sort of motivations, and it's super evident in both Shadowfall and in Alphabet Squadron.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see, how he applies that to from a certain point of view book. Like his story is like, I am the ice cream maker in Will Rowan's arms. Like, by the way, like I got guys, we also, I didn't even mention it at the top. We have From a Certain Point of View Empire is coming out later this year. I want to know who got the Wilbur Hood story, because that
it has to be in there.
Everyone's fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it was one of the newbies that just happened to be quick on email. They're like, they just happened to be looking at their phone at the second. They had Wilbur Hood already in there. Like they had copied the text. They were just ready for it.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I can't freaking wait. But back to Shadowfall itself, I feel like we all kind of had our favorite pilots after the first Alphabet Squadron. Everyone kind of found their person that they identified with, because, again, like we said, they're all so well written. Alex, did you find that your favorite pilot in the squadron remained consistent after reading Shadowfall, or did it switch up?
Yeah, I'm still a big Will Lark fan. Yeah,
yes!
he's the best. But what I really liked about Shadowfall is that in the first book, probably my favorite scene is him in the nebula with Shadowwing, and they're just kind of talking to each other, or he's trying to, and it shows you the kind of person he is, and he's got a good heart. I love that kind of gets used against him in Shadowfall. Like there's consequences for being like that, but he doesn't care, and he's not going to change. Like he's a good person. So yeah. Will Lark.
Oh, well, that's the correct answer. I'm glad we're all agreed. Half of us. It's hilarious because this is weirdly one of the like specific memories I have of Alphabet Squadron, because Alphabet Squadron was the first book I ever got a review copy of. So I was all about it, and like when it got in the mail, I was so excited. And I remember you had tweeted last year like the page number of that scene. Like, this is the moment I fell in love. And when I got that, I waited, obviously, because I'm not a monster that reads the end of the book. No judgment. But I remember specifically that scene coming up with him in Blink and really falling in love with him there. And he is absolutely my favorite as well. Corey, do you have an incorrect answer you'd like to throw into the fray?
Feeling the judgment here. I appreciate that, guys.
Of course, man.
I'm a big fan of Chas. Like, I'm glad that she was featured on the cover. I like that she I can't not picture her listening to like a hardcore metal music while she's like flying the B-wing or whatever. So like, I love her aggressive, in your face punk rock. She's absolutely the most punk of all the pilots.
She's got a mohawk.
Yes, I mean it's just awesome. Yeah, I love it. And the B-wing is so unique. Like they talk about that, how it doesn't make any sense that a B-wing is in a squadron. Like, it's a terrible ship.
Yeah.
But she loves it, and that's her baby, and I love her. I love her. She's awesome.
Yeah, Chas is awesome, and especially for all of our friends that have read Shadowfall already, this is there's a reason why Chas is on the cover of this book. She definitely has a very specific journey that is pretty epic and cool. That's very different from her journey in the first one, I'd say. And Corey, I like that you brought up her music, which is such a big part of her. I remember when Alphabet Squadron came up, there were people making Spotify playlists of Chasta Chaddock music, of like all their different ideas. So you have heavy metal. Alex, what do you think of when you think of Chasta's music? Are there any like genres or even artists that jump into your head?
I mean, like, it's in the real world. Yeah, it mostly feels like heavy metal, and I think she called it Herglick heavy metal is something she actually listened to in the first book. But really, the first thing I actually think of for Star Wars is, did you play Fallen Order?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you're in like the gladiatorial arena and there's like they're playing the radio while you fight, that kind of song is what jumps into my head.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
that's a great
reference. That is
Eric,
way
do you
better.
remember how it goes?
Oh yeah, it goes. Matt, put it in here. Please insert the music from Fallen Order, and like I said it. All right, it's just like that. But yeah, I like that way better. I always thought of like, I don't know why, like Swedish pop or an EDM, because I just feel like it can't be in English, no matter, or even in basic. She doesn't listen to anything in basic in her head. But for some reason, that always hit me. Like, you'd find Chas at a rave in Norway. I think that would be her happy place.
I don't think that she's listening to a whole lot of neurotransmitter affection in her B-wing.
I can only hope in 20 years we have like a full a reference guide of all the bands in Star Wars. We're getting there. So I would like
Alex,
to have.
Do you have a video on that?
No, I probably should, because especially like Chas alone has named so many different genres and bands herself. So like I need to go back through and just collect what she has said, and then add on Max Rebo and Figrin Dan and Shag Kava.
Oh my god, it'd be awesome. And then you got to have like the band tour shirts where like Max Rebo opened for Neurotransmitter Affection back when he was smaller. Like that. These are the dumb books that we need. I mean,
is this another opportunity? Is this another opportunity to talk about the I Got a Gig skit from Robot Chicken? It's absolutely my favorite Robot Chicken skit of all of them with Max Rebo. Fantastic.
It's so good and silly. But yeah, I would love. You know what I actually want in the third Alphabet Squadron book? Was it Dark Empire that had the CD-ROMs? Which books had the CD-ROMs? Yeah,
I think it was Dark Empire.
That came with the soundtrack.
Yeah, I think it was Dark Empire.
Come on, what are we doing, guys? Like maybe there's like of course now would be like probably a digital code or a QR that you scan or something, and it pulls up a Spotify playlist.
Oh wait, are we talking Shadows of the Empire?
Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I do wish they'd do that again. Like do here's some music that we composed for this book. I don't know why they do that. That's such a unique thing, but I'd love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's be clear. They won't. It's okay. But yeah, because that's what's one of the things that makes the audiobook so cool is that the music in there, again, it's not always just like John Williams specific, but the music enhances the moment so beautifully. And man, if I could just get an actual CD, or not a CD-ROM, let's be honest, the digital files of Chast and Chaddock's playlist, I would love it. So Del Rey, hi, we know you're listening. we would absolutely love it. But going forward, Alex, I'm going to ask you because I'm going to throw Corey and Wes under the bus that have to read the book and finish it by next week when the roundtable starts.
Easy.
Love you guys. Alex, without spoiling too much for anyone that hasn't heard it, how could you see the series going to round out the trilogy?
Well, I don't want to get into too much. Also,
yeah.
So
I gave you an impossible task. Here, speculate responsibly. There you go. That's your show right there.
Alexander Freed did give me a little tease that you can watch the full interview tomorrow, but he talks about how obviously he couldn't say very much, but he said that the scope of the next one is much bigger. So that already makes me very happy. I do wonder if it's going to be another story that ends like with the Battle of Jakku. Like that feels predictable, but that also doesn't mean that what happens there isn't going to be insane. And yeah, the way that this book ends is not the way I thought it would end. So I guess trying to be cagey here.
You're doing this tightrope.
Dodge those spoilers! Look out! Here they come! Look out!
Oh no, I gotta ask though. One thing I will. This isn't. It's a spoiler in the vein that it tells you something that doesn't happen in the book. Do we know how Coruscant gets taken back in canon, Alex?
Vaguely. I mean, Empire's End gets into it a little bit, and I think Life Debt as well. Aftermath covers it, but not to a huge extent.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, like, I feel like there's potential for a giant, Return of the Jedi-esque space battle, ground battle, giant thing over some kind of major system. Feels like a fitting end if we're going grand scope.
If it's not Coruscant, I do have some theories based off of what we have seen in Star Wars Squadrons, but I think that that's probably not going to be the climax of Shadow or Alphabet Squadron. Mm-hmm. I don't know about Coruscant. Like it seems like they just kind of surrendered and gave up after Jakku. It doesn't sound like Coruscant was a big battleground.
Yeah, they're like, we're all politicians. We've been high for 3 years. I didn't know what was happening. I'm sorry. I'm going back in the club to listen to whatever Swedish pop music I like. So, see, that's what I call a callback to my own dumb joke. But that's great. That's a great point. But regardless, I'm glad to hear that it'll be epic in scope to kind of scratch that itch we were talking about earlier, to really give us something grand and worthy of a trilogy. And I gotta say, I do hope that Shadowfall or Alphabet Squadron as a whole gets us back into the trilogy mode as well. I know we're getting the new Thrawn trilogy and stuff, but we've talked a lot on the show about how Legends is full of so many series, and we haven't really gotten that many in canon. Do you guys think that the success of Alphabet Squadron is going to kind of get us there? Think it opens that door?
Maybe. I hope. I don't like. See, that's why I'm excited about the High Republic. It's I think it'll be a series of not just books, but obviously comics and other stories. But yeah, I want something that can tell a big story that doesn't have to fit within the constraints of the films that are around it. And that's what I think is holding us back from getting big book stories right now, is that they're saving all the big stories for movies and TV shows, which makes sense. But I do miss having that New Jedi Order. Like, here's 20 books about this big old war, and we don't see that anymore.
That's totally true. That's the one thing that Legends was able to do better than canon has done, I think, so far. Is like the stakes feel really high, the scope is much bigger, they can create new wars, new enemies, and new content. And I'm not really sure why we have been so conservative the last since the Disney purchase, honestly. Maybe I'm hoping that the High Republic stuff is the door opening to that. I really hope that is. And it feels like it could be the case. It depends how successful, I guess, it is from a pure monetary perspective. If it's really done well. Are you saying
that money controls Star Wars? Are you possibly insinuating?
That is certainly what I'm insinuating.
I mean, like, I understand why the books have, I don't know, not taken a hit. Like, they're just smaller. And it's because they're not the backbone of the universe anymore.
That's right.
Like, they used to be the main driving force of the Star Wars universe. Sure. And now we have movies and shows again. So it's like, what do we put and where do we put it? And movies and TV shows make more money. So
that's right. And somebody brought up, I think it was Meg, that brought up in our Slack team earlier that that this Bad Batch thing is kind of like a test to see how successful a completely original animated show is on Disney Plus. Like, that'll be interesting to see how successful that is. Does that open the door to more animated content that, is exclusive to Disney Plus that explores something like the High Republic? I mean, it certainly seems like TV really does open the doors, and there's a lot of huge content we've not gotten any information about still coming to TV with the Cassian stuff, the second season of Mandalorian. What's the Kenobi show? I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming. So,
yeah, and I think that's a good point. That now the mediums are also kind of starting to solidify what they do best. I mean, Alphabet Squadron is so good because it really gets inside the minds of the characters in a way you can't always get in a TV show without a voiceover. Like, you can't always take 300 pages of TV time to really delve into the fears and the metaphor of certain things. Whereas a book can do that a little better. So we'll save some of the other things that are more cinematic maybe for a TV show. And I think that's totally cool. I mean, hey, one of the best canon novels of all time is Master and Apprentice. And that was mostly about two dudes and Rael Averos, the king of all Southern accents. But I think it's kind of cool to see how we're going to see kind of what they specialize in. And one thing I want to plug real quick for our Discord folks who are still over on Twitch and YouTube right now, having lovely discussions about jizz music, which apparently got censored on both Twitch and YouTube. But bless you all. If you are in our Discord right now and you love Shadowfall as much as we do have a contest going on right now for fan casting, where you can choose which actors you want to play your Erica Quell, Chasta Chaddock, Kairos, Will Lark, Nath Tenson, and Harrison Dula. If you go into our Pick, Vote, Win Discord channel, it's just hashtag Pick, Vote, Win. You can submit one actor per pilot. You do not have to cast the whole squad. And the submission window is up till July 20th. When that window ends, we're going to put up voting for each pilot. And we as the UTV community are going to fan cast Alphabet Squadron. Voting will begin on July 21st. The winners will be announced on the Living Force Shadowfall Roundtable live stream. And the winners of the cast will receive free UTV merch. So head over there right now if you think you could have some good fan casting yourselves. Alex, Corey, I'm not gonna make you guys do the whole squadron. Do you have any single character that you have a particularly good actor or actress that jumps into your mind?
Ooh, I'm not good at
Part of the reason I love Will is because I think he looks like me. When I don't have my quarantine hair. I want to cosplay as Will. I would never trust myself to act. But maybe if Will were to cameo and I could just get a one shot, I can't shake him, and then they cut away, I'd be up for that.
Oh my God, the immortalization of a single I can't shake him. That gets you 18 books in the history of Star Wars we know. Oh God, totally down with that. Corey, are you cosplaying any? You could be Kairos.
Yeah, I could totally be. That'd be a fun one to do too.
Anyone could be Kairos.
Yeah, we have that. The helmet is pretty awesome. Has anybody done that yet? Has you guys seen any pictures or anything like that? Have anybody doing Kairos?
I haven't seen any Alphabet Squadron because we got the character silhouettes, which were pretty cool. Like the character portraits with the first book, which was cool, and then they did one for keys for Shadowfall. They were all on the Bronze and Noble bookmarks and stuff.
Yeah,
which was cool.
That is a subculture that I certainly need to explore a little bit more. As the Star Wars
book
cosplaying.
Yeah,
cosplay in general. I just don't know a lot. Alex, you and Molly are both kind of I guess you know a little bit about that subculture and stuff.
Molly
right?
does a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, Molly more so than me. I do really comfortable, goofy cosplays with my friends. Molly takes it very seriously.
Yeah. She's seriously some of the stuff. My wife was showing me some of the stuff that she was doing earlier, and I was like, man, this stuff is awesome.
Oh yeah, I remember the day that the Dark Ray reveal happened, and Molly's Twitter exploded because it was like called it a year earlier.
Yeah, fantastic.
Looked freaking
Fantastic.
awesome. If you want to put Alex Damon on as Will Lark, you jump into Pick Vote Win right now, and we see how that turns out later on this month. And of course, if you haven't yet, head over to Star Wars Explained right now. Check out Alex's reviews of Shadowfall. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. You have like still your base reviews that come out on day one, and then you have your spoiler-filled reviews that come out later. Yeah.
Kind of depends. Like I was gonna do a spoiler review specifically about Chapter 18. I've never heard of a chapter being talked about specifically I know, right?
as much as this one.
You can just say Chapter 18, and everyone's like, "Yep." But I started writing it, and I was like, I don't know if I'm right. So that's part of the reason I reached out to Alexander Freed, is because I wanted to get his take on it. Which again, he was like, well, we'll see. But I at least was able to like talk through my my feelings. So the interview is kind of going to be my spoiler review as well. But yeah, we do base spoiler free reviews, and then I do like a facts from video. Just here are all the connections and random Easter eggs and things that connect to comics and books and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I absolutely comb through every single one of your Easter egg videos before we do our roundtables, because there are things that you forget. And I also want to point out, everyone, that on this date on the internet, a Star Wars writer and videographer said they didn't know something, and that was okay. So it is possible that we can go on and ask questions. Moving on, though, I want to talk a little bit about Star Wars Squadrons. We've talked about it a couple times. Alex, this game has essentially been all over your channel lately. Can you talk a little bit about your excitement about this game that seriously came out of nowhere when it was announced?
Yeah, I mean, again, pilot fanboy. Like, it's just EA has been up and down for me with the Star Wars license, but I loved Fallen Order. Yeah. I loved Fallen Order, and if I were to choose the next game, it would have been something like this, like a space combat. I loved the old X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, Rogue Squadron. I love flying, and the fact that this is going to be like in VR as well. It looks so immersive. I have so many plans. Like I want to get like a stick and a throttle and actually try to play this the way it should be played. Right. So yeah, just the possibilities for this for me, just to be able to sit like in an A-Wing or X-Wing cockpit and look around. I'm just so pumped.
So if the videos just like suddenly stop out of nowhere on your channel, we know exactly what happens. There's like a full scale model of an X-Wing in a basement somewhere that Alex has not left in like 9 days. So
yeah, get like some hydraulics on it that move while I'm.
No, it's just you in a spinning chair, and Molly's just like pushing it down every once in a while. Like, honey, this is great. But it is wild. Like I'm not a huge VR person. Like I've played it a couple times on my friends that can like afford the rigs. And it is truly one of those cliched, you believe it when you see it things. For anyone that hasn't played in VR yet, the last couple of years just have jumped insanely high. And the fact that they put that work in, like you were saying, to Squadrons is truly mind blowing, because it does seem like out of all the Star Wars content we've gotten, it is the most interested in putting you in Star Wars, like personally. And I wonder what the fan reaction is going to be, because I know you addressed on your channel when it first came out, people were like, well, what is canon? Am I canon now? If I crash, is that crash canon?
Oh my gosh, like, shut up. I hate that conversation so much. It's like, how can Poe and Rey meet multiple times? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, guys, plot holes are like canon. The fact that plot holes exist is like a fundamental aspect of Star Wars. Like, don't get me worked up. Yes,
easy, buddy. But yeah, I am interested in that, especially with like the customization of it. Like, I mean, the fact that we can have so many colors on the ships and there's aesthetic stuff. And obviously, most importantly, as you've said, Alex, the Ewok bobblehead is, I hope it's not the only bobblehead. I'll say it. I want a lot. I want a ton of stupid bobbleheads like that I have to do insanely.
Will Lark bobblehead.
Corey?
It's so dumb how excited I was about that bobblehead thing in the trailer.
It looks sick. It's so fantastic.
Only because like I had made a dumb tweet about like, oh, there better be bobbleheads in this or I'm not buying it. And then in the trailer, like, well, there's bobbleheads. Okay.
Dice. Like maybe dice. It'd be cool if you could put dice somewhere in your cockpit.
Oh yeah, the Han dice.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be and yeah, it's so fun. And I hope that in order to get the really dumb stuff, you have to do insanely dangerous things. Like you have to fly within 6 inches of 3 ships for 400 meters in order to unlock a bobblehead. It's like, fine, I'll die 1,800 times. I don't care.
Right.
But obviously everyone's going to have to kind of pick their own main ship, right? To squadron up and see what we're going by default. What do you guys think is your go-to ship in Squadrons? What are you most excited to fly?
I think A-Wing. I mean, X-Wing is that's my go-to ship. If I could choose one, it would be an X-Wing. But the A-Wing has just like a glass cockpit. Like that's going to be, I think, so much fun to sit in, especially in VR, and just be able to be like, I'm in space. And there's just like this little bubble here. The X-Wing has like all of the struts and what have you, but the A-Wing will just be like, I'm out here.
Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be like a practice or training mode, where you can literally just fly around. You can just kind of no man's sky it and just like, I just want to fly around and look at planets for a while in VR. That would be, I'd pay money just for that, for the Star Wars flight simulator.
Play some Chassis playlist, just kind of as you're just kind of exploring Alderaan.
Can you imagine a hard day at work? You come home, throw on VR and some headphones, play some Star Wars music, and just fly around the galaxy for a couple hours? You're good.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
It's fantastic.
That'd be incredible.
You guys are the first ones to be shot down, by the way, just to say, if you're going to be flying around out there.
Oh, VR, this is incredible, Dad. Oh, VR, this is great, Dad.
Yeah, the first time you get shot down in VR is going to probably be pretty chilling. Like when your whole cockpit just starts to explode around you, I feel like a little freaked out. But you're right, Wes. Please don't go after the people in VR. Y'all, if you're playing Star Wars Squadrons and you see a little TIE fighter just flying around, not hurting anybody, they're just enjoying VR. Leave them alone. But to round that out, guys, do we think, because, again, we are an extended universe show. We like the books and comics and all that. Do we think there is any possibility for Squadrons content? Because I know there's a story mode. Like, we see Ray Sloan and Hera, which is freaking incredible. I can't believe we're getting Ray Sloan in the flesh. Do we think there's any possibility for more books or comics, or is this game going to kind of be what it is?
It's hard to say. That's hard to say. Maybe there's certainly enough material, I think, out there, but I don't know. Alphabet Squadron series was kind of created a lot of really cool pilot stuff, and just the timelines, I guess, of the creation of this game and the Alphabet Squadron series, like being like around, that might make the story kind of challenging to overlap too much. Certainly if they were drawing from old stuff like Ray Sloan and Aftermath and stuff, perhaps. I don't know. Alex, thoughts on there?
I mean, we already know that there are some like Shadowfall Alphabet Squadron connections to the game. They're surface level, but I do think it would be cool to get a novelization just so that you could kind of squash those like, well, what is and isn't canon in this?
Yeah, right.
And you just be like, well, the book is the canon version, but you get to live it and do it your own way in the game itself. But I don't think it's necessary. I think most people can get beyond that without a book.
Yeah, that is interesting because, we did in the back of the day. We got the Force Unleashed book and we got all that stuff. And Fallen Order had the prequel comic, but they didn't quite go novelization-wise. But I do wonder if maybe that might be something for accessibility, too. Like, if people don't play games and they don't want to just go watch Let's Plays, maybe is there a market for, like, a smaller novel of the Squadrons thing? Maybe. I think that'd be pretty cool. Now, as we are kind of getting to near the end of tonight's show, Alex, of course, since we have you on here, it would be I think, illegal not to talk about trivia. I think that would actually be against the rules of all things Star Wars. You mentioned earlier that you started your channel because you were doing trivia. You were doing trivia studying, and other people like the same kind of study tools that you did. When did you decide that, you know what? I know Star Wars. I'm gonna know everything about Star Wars. Like, what was the impetus for that?
I don't know, honestly. Like, I know growing up, like my buddy and I we kind of had our own Star Wars book club where we, like, when we first learned and were old enough to read Star Wars novels, it was like 4th or 5th grade. We'd be like, okay, we're gonna go home. We're gonna read these chapters of Heir to the Empire tonight, and then on the bus tomorrow, we're gonna talk about it. And like, so that's just what we did through elementary and middle school. And we would not like ask each other questions, but it would be more like, oh, did you know that Bosk is a Trandoshan? And like that, we would just trade facts that we were learning. And through all that, I guess I just got good at it, and it stayed in my head. I knew I was good at like Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. Then at Dragon Con, I was like, I should enter this thing. I would probably do okay, and I did okay, but I wasn't winning. And that the first time I entered was 2012, and so for a couple years, I just like kept on doing okay and saying like I should study, and that was, I think, 2014 or 15 is when 2015 is when I started the channel, and was trying to just really study everything. But there was no real time where I was like, I'm just going to be good at Star Wars trivia. It just kind of happened.
Right. And it's interesting for that, because the Dragon Con trivia contest, again, like Alex was saying earlier, for those of you that don't know, is like one ridiculously hard Star Wars trivia contest. Like they put out the videos each year, and it's funny to go back and watch them, because some of the questions you guys get are just madness. It is ridiculous. It's insane, but it is great because you finally ended up winning last year. Is that correct? Was it last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
7 years it took.
And there was a kid with you too. Did he get third? That young kid?
Yeah, Miles. That was his 3rd year competing. We're waiting for him to win.
Seriously,
it's gonna happen. Yeah, he's awesome. A kid has won before, I will say. It's been a few years, but I don't think he was as young as Miles. And my favorite story with him is not this past year, but the year before. First of all, the whole trivia thing is kind of organized to make fun of the people who are up there competing. It's like, sure, not even make fun of, but to torture them and be like, oh, you think you know Star Wars? Like, we're going to ask you a bunch of absurd questions that no one should know the answer to. So that's kind of like their attitude. And they got to me, and in round 1, you get some multiple choice. But the host asked me the question, and I knew it, and I was just going to flex a little bit. And I blurted out the answer, and everyone was like, oh, look at you. Good for you. Miles, the kid, goes next, and he does the same thing. He was just like, oh, I didn't know that was an option. And so he blurted the answer out, and everyone went nuts. It was so funny.
God, to be a kid and to be that good at a thing is admirable, yet makes me look back at my younger self and be like, dude, what were we doing? Like watching the Fairly Odd Parents again? Come on.
Picking our nose, I guess. Like, that's incredible. But that's what's so fun about Star Wars, though. It's like, it's so multi-generational. Yeah. And like the fact that there's a kid out there that can go toe to toe with, you know, folks that have literally studied like basically flashcards. And Twitter is impressive, man. It's super impressive.
It's so cool. And also begs the question, now that Dragon Con got canceled this year officially, again, we have lauded Star Wars Celebration for taking their sweet time, but also a lot of cons that are doing the responsible thing and canceling. Do you now just get the belt for 2 years? Are you the default Dragon Con? You won now, so are you never giving it up now? Are you making sure that there will never be another Dragon Con?
Actually, kind of the opposite.
What?
It made me very sad to hear that Dragon Con was canceled. We're in talks to host the trivia this year. Dragon Con is going virtual, I said that, I don't know what their infrastructure is like, what is going to be able to be streamed and what's not. But I was like, if you guys want, we will figure it out. And I don't think they can do it exactly the same way they normally do. Normally, there's a written test that everyone at Dragon Con can take. Right. But now that this is open to everyone in the world, so that kind of gets out of hand. So we would probably, if this works out, if Dragon Con is on board and everything, it would probably be me and Molly and Miles and like 3 or 4. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's like the same 10 people every year. So
sure, yeah, you know the squad.
Yeah, so we'll probably just be like, hey, if you guys want, we'll do it again, and we'll do it online, and we'll see if I can retain.
That which would be obviously epic, and is the official stance of the Living Force podcast and Utini.com that you should. Official endorsement there. But speaking of trivia competitions that have gone virtual, the Schmodown has done so in the last couple of months and has been going crazy. Now, you are, I'm trying to think, because there's been so many matches going on. I know Molly had a match. Our friend Laura from Force Toast had a match, and there's different brackets. How are you doing currently in Schmodown? Are you because you're in a different bracket than Molly and Laura were, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I still...
Yes!
Word.
This just happened to be here. I didn't have this prepared.
Oh, it's the belt, audio listeners. We saw it. Beautiful.
Yeah, I've got the belt for Star Wars, so nothing to worry about there right now. In 5 months, I'll have to defend against the person, Ace Cabrera, who just won the Star Wars tournament in an amazing showing. That tournament was insane. But I'm also competing in the Inner Geekdom tournament on the Schmodown, which is Star Wars, Star Trek, Middle Earth, Harry Potter, like just, your general nerdy properties. Marvel.
The reason we all sat at different tables in high school.
Right.
Yeah. All that stuff. Wow. So what is that? Is that like different to the point where it's easier questions per fandom? There's just more of them, or are they as specific as like Star Wars is, but for all of them?
Depends on the round. Like round 1 is pretty surface level. Round 2, it's harder, but you get multiple choice if you need it. Round 3 is where it gets to be like, I mean, the Star Wars questions at this point are all like 5-pointers for any other movie. But in round 3, that's where I really start to be like, oh, I hope I get something I'm good at.
Right. It's like, I don't know that much about Radagast the Brown, but I feel like I can make something up. Yeah. Well, cool. Now, before we let you get out of here, I want to ask, out of all these things you've done, out of all these things you've studied, all these characters, all these planets, all these competitions, is there a particular factoid or a particular question you've gotten in your years of this that's like your favorite? That's your favorite dumb thing to pull out of your head, or a question that has just stuck with you for years?
This one came in a bar trivia contest, and it was something that I like kind of figured the answer out myself and was very proud of it. So it's one that always jumps into my head. But in the original cut of Star Wars, there were a handful of English words written like in universe. What were they? And that was like the last question in a bar trivia, and I think we were like in 3rd place. This was years and years ago, right. But we were like vying for position, and I was like, bet it all, I think I know it. And it was power tractor beam, and so it's only like in there when Obi-Wan is turning off the tractor beam, and I wasn't sure of it, but I was like, let's just go big or go home. And that was it. And we got 1st place. So that moment just stuck in my head.
Wow. Well, everyone watching and listening, when someday enough people stay inside long enough that bars are allowed to open again for trivia, there you go. Power tractor beam. Go forth and make all your friends' jaws drop like mine just did listening to that. Awesome. Well, this has been a freaking blast, dude. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Before we let everyone get out of here, tell everyone at home, watching live and listening later, where can they find you online, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff?
Yeah, we're just Star Wars explained everywhere. YouTube is our main place, but we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We have a Discord that I don't know enough about. I just don't know how Discord works, really. I need to learn that. I'm old.
It is a fascinating, dark place of scum and... I fucked up the quote already, and I swore during it. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Matt. That's how disappointed I was. But anyway, Alex, thank you so much. You're welcome back anytime to talk about all things Star Wars. Your channel has been one of my favorite places on the internet since I started getting into all of this stuff. And everyone, stay tuned there for all your Star Wars needs. And on that, that is going to do it, my friends, for this week's episode of The Living Force.